Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to episode 2 of the Foundations of Excellence in Mathematics, where we solve real-world problems, explain in depth, and teach to learn, not just to memorize. Today we have, of course, FEM CEO, SAT Bootcamp Tutor, Landon Pitts. Hello! Hello everyone, welcome to episode 2 of the Foundations of Excellence in Mathematics, and no, it's been about 2 weeks, but it's okay, I'm back. I've been a little busy lately, but I am ready, and we are back to learn. So, before we begin, let me go ahead and write what we're going to learn today on this board. Okay, so here's our learning objectives. We have A1U1S6, which means Algebra 1, Unit 1, Section 6, I can't speak. So our first objective for the day is we're going to solve literal equations and apply them into the real world. I'll show you what that means in a moment. And we're going to include geometry to strengthen our knowledge in math. And yes, after about, it's too early to give an estimate, but there are about, I think, I don't remember, but like probably about 8 to 9 units in Algebra 1, at least in the curriculum that I learned. So we're going to go ahead and learn them all and then get to geometry later. So our questions are, how are we going to solve literal equations? How are we going to solve them to the real world? And how are we going to include geometry? Once again, I'm Landon Pitts, your FEM CEO, SAT Bootcamp Tutor, Upchief, Schoolhouse.World Tutor, and here we go with FEM Core V2.
It's a new day in the new year of 2026. The FEM is going to be the reason the math this semester will click. Homework, test assignments, and the final examination. But now FEM is back, and it's laying the foundation of excellence in mathematics. That's a code name. That's the name that was built for as well-deserved fame. Talking from the high school ground zero, continuing with Algebra 1, and then it's up to AP Calculus when FEM will be done. The challenge will be scary, but we'll prove the teachers false, and FEM will soar through it like we're dancing the good old waltz. So let's take on the challenge together and end the students' suffering. We may even be the reason that students are recovering. FEM Core. FEM Core. FEM Core. FEM Core.
With FEM Core version 2, you can listen to it on Spotify, Amazon Music, Deezer, Tidal, YouTube, and a lot more platforms. It's called FEM Core V2, and it should be on FEM Radio V2. And I also released new tracks that I will include in future episodes. But for now, let's move on. So, we are talking solving literal equations. So, if we are given an equation, a simple algebraic equation like x plus y is equal to 5, and we are told to solve for y, what would be your first instinct? Would you first try to solve for a number of y? Would you try to solve for y in terms of x? Would you try to solve for y in another way? So for these types of problems, there's a trap that some people fall for. One thing they try to do is they try to solve for y, like the actual number. So like what they'll start doing is that they'll put a number in. So like maybe they'll put in at y equals 2, plug it back in, and then they get that like x is equal to 3. And then they'll just say that x is 3 and y is 2. But since we're talking literal equations, we don't want to get there. We want like the value of y that will always be the value of y. So what I mean by that is like if we take like a graph, like if a value of y is always going to be y, then it has to be the literal definition of like a graph. So what I mean by that is that if we take y and we equal to 3, then that's going to be known as a hoi, which we discussed in the last video, and that means a horizontal zero slope y line. So I'm just going to put some points here, but it doesn't really matter because I'm going to put it in anyway. So we have an x and we have y, so we have 3, so it'll be a hoi line. Now, no matter what x value you pick, it'll always be on y equals 3. So you can put it x equals 3, it'll be 3, 3. Put it on x equals 5, 5, 3. Put it on x equals, I don't know, 1,850,631. It's still going to be 3. Why? Because y equals 3. Like, there's no graph, there's no algebra needed. Y is equal to 3. Period. Like, it does not have to, like, include any others. So, we know that for information. But now we're including an x, which means that the x value can vary depending on the y, and the y value can vary depending on the x. So let's get to the actual solving here. If we're told we're to graph for y, all we have to do for this type of problem is to make sure that we get y by itself. Similar to a one-step equation. So if we take, if we subtract x on both sides to get y by itself right now, so if we subtract x by itself, we would get negative x plus 5. And that's it. For literal equations, that's our answer. Y is equal to negative x plus 5. Now, how do we check our answer? Great question. All we have to do is substitute it back in. If we get an integer that is equal to that same integer, that's a match. And that means that our answer is right. So we can take y and we can substitute it back in, which means that we're going to have x plus y, which in this case, it's going to be negative x plus 5, because we're substituting this in for y right here, is equal to 5. If we take this out of parentheses, x minus plus negative x is just negative x, plus 5 is plus 5, equals 5, x minus x just cancels, and we're left with 5 is equal to 5. And there we go. It's the same integer, so it matches. So now we just checked that y is equal to negative x plus 5. So that's that. But don't let that make you so confident, although you absolutely should be, because in FEM, we are here to help you learn to learn and not memorize. So I'm going to go ahead and give you another problem like this. I want you to try it by yourself. It's going to be pretty much the exact same concept, except it's going to be just a little slightly different. So, okay, I'm not going to cut the video. I'm just going to give you another one. So, if you wanted to grab that, you can go back and screenshot it. But here's your next problem. I want you to solve for x in this case, not y, x. And we're going to do x plus y is equal to 8. So what's the literal equation of x? And how about I give you a bonus? What should the bonus be? Okay, so there's that. Solve for a, definitely. And then bonus, if y equals 5, x equals. So I want you to try this one. Definitely try this one. If you want to go for the bonus, go for it. And I'll let you pause the video. So go ahead, pause the video, and take your time. You got this. Okay, I gave you a little bit of time to pause and think about it. So what we have to do to get x by itself, we have to subtract both sides by y. Negative by y, yep, okay. And then this cancels. And then we're left with x is equal to 8 minus y. So 8 minus y is that. Now check your work. So we're substituting for x. So that would be 8 minus y plus y. I'm horrible at drawing pluses. Is equal to negative y plus y. That cancels. 8 is equal to 8. Same integers, so it matches. Now let's try the bonus. So if you haven't already, go ahead and pause, solve the bonus. Alright, perfect. So now let's solve it together. So y is equal to 5, so x equals. So all we have to do is take our x, 8 minus y, and since we're given that y is equal to 5, we'll have 8 minus 5. X is going to be equal to 3. So that means that in an ordered pair, we would have 3, 5. But since we're only asking for x, it's just going to be 3. So there's that. Correct. So great job. If you struggle with that section, go back and review. And if you have questions in the comments, I am always available. Please don't hesitate to reach out. Okay, here we go. So good job. You guys are doing amazing as always. Okay, let's go ahead and jump the difficulty a little bit. So I'm going to erase this, cut the video, and then I'm going to put a brand new problem up on the board. And it's going to be using the same techniques, except with a little more arithmetic. So let me go ahead, cut the video, and I'll put a brand new problem up on the board. Be right back. All right, FEM Squad, we are back, and let's see. We got a brand new problem up on the board. So here's our problem. We have coefficients in front of the x and y variables, and it is equal to 20. So first things first, it says that we have to solve for y. So we have to make sure to get y first. Now, some people, including myself sometimes, would say, oh, these are all even. I'm going to divide it by 2. X plus 2y equals 20. And while this is technically correct, it doesn't actually make us go faster. So we want to find a method that actually makes us go faster. So instead of dividing by 2, you realize that you have to divide by 2 again. But this can simply be divided by 4 for the original equation. So if we take 2x plus 4y equals 20 and divide all of it by 4, what do we get? We would get 1/2 x plus y equals 5. Because 2 divided by 4 is 1/2 in a simplified fraction. 4 divided by 4 is just 1. 20 divided by 4 is 5. Now all I have to do is just like the last one, where we just have to subtract. So we subtract 1/2 x on both sides. Y is going to be equal to negative 1/2 x plus 5. So that means that y is equal to that. So that's our answer, y. Now we check our work. So we take 2x. Okay, so this is correct. Let me write that down. Now we have to check. So plus 4 negative 1/2 x plus 5 equals 20. So 2x stays. And then 4 times 1/2 x is just negative 4 over 2, which is just 2x, plus 20, because 4 times 5 is 20, equals 20. These two cancel, and 20 equals 20. So boom, there we go. That's our answer. Okay, perfect. So now we have included addition, subtraction into it. We've included division. We've included no, we haven't included multiplication yet, but we will do that right now. So I'll just go ahead and think of this one right on the spot. So let's do it. We're going to put in let's throw in some odds. Make it a little harder for you guys. Okay. Y is gonna be, that's a horrible Y, by the way. Whoopsies, hang on. Let me try that again. Okay, so Y, that is going to be equal to whatever that is. So now we're going to put in multiplication into this equation. So what that means is that we're going to get this Y again, and we're going to get this to just Y, except this time, instead of dividing, we want to multiply. So we want to get this to 1. So that means that 1/2 times something. So I'll call this variable z, since I don't want to get anything confused. It's equal to 1. So what we have to do is we have to do 1 divided by 1/2. Now I hope we didn't forget how to divide by fractions, right? How do we do 1 divided by 1/2? We multiply the reciprocal. So we take 1 times 2 over 1. And if you want me to prove that, there are episodes in chapter 1, I believe, that show why that is true. So, since this is 2, that means that we have to multiply 1/2 by 2 in order to get 1. So, let's do it. Okay, let's see here. Okay, so we're going to multiply all of this by 2 so we can get y by itself. So, what would that equation be? It would be 6x plus y equals 12, because 3 times 2 is 6, 1/2 times 2 is just y, and 6 times 2 is 12. Now all I have to do is subtract again. So, what do we get? Y equals negative 6x plus 12. Perfect. Great job. All right, here we go. Now I'm going to give you guys a couple practice problems. And how about this? I'm going to give you a bonus on the last one. How about that? All right, let's do it. Okay, I got some practice problems up on the board for you guys. I want you guys to try this by yourself. And notice for the 4th one, I also want you to graph it. Oh, I didn't put the axis. Given that this is the x-axis and this is the y-axis. Now what you guys can do, you can go ahead and zoom in to this thing. YouTube should have an option on mobile, but if you're on PC, you can also take a screenshot of it and zoom into that graph. So then Apple should give you the option to screenshot, and then you can draw whatever you want on it. This should also apply to PC. So go ahead, solve the problems, and then I'm going to uncut the video, and I'm going to immediately show the solutions with the explanations. So go ahead, give it a try, don't be shy, and we'll group together. So, good luck. You got this. Alright, you guys have solved the problems, and now I will give them back to you. Are we ready? Okay. 3, 2, 1. How did you guys do? Number 1. X minus 10. We have to subtract negative x on both sides. We have a negative y, so we have to multiply that by negative 1. Which will flip every sign, so negative y will become positive, negative x becomes positive, and positive 10 becomes negative. Check your answer. Boom, it's a match. Number 2, we're solving for x here, not y. This is the only one where you're not solving for y. So, you do. First, divide all these by 1/2, you get x is equal to negative 1/2 y plus 17 over 2. I just kind of did that, so I subtracted the 1/2 y to the other side, plugged it in, checked my work, cancel out these x's, boom, 17 equals 17, it's a match. Number 3, 1/2 x plus 1/3 y equals 3. Let's see here, yeah, you put multiply by 1, no, I lied, multiply by 3 over 1, get 3 over 2x plus y equals 9, subtract that on both sides, y equals negative 3 over 2x plus 9. Check your work, so do negative 1/2 x plus 1/3. Plug it in for y. Get this, note that 3 to 6 is equal to 1/2, so these two still cancel. 3 equals equal to 3, that's a match. Okay, 2x plus 6 over 5y was 10. Get those, get all those. The answer is y equals negative 5 over 3x plus 25 over 3. Now, graphs may vary since this was a fraction one, but you should have 0.025 over 3, 3, 10 over 3, 6, negative 5 over 3. There were a lot more I didn't include, but don't worry because that's just because graphs are infinite. But if you got negative 5 over 3x plus 25 over 3, that is amazing. And if you got this graph pretty close, I'll give it to you. So, I'll go ahead and put in the score recommendations based on how much you got. So you'll receive 1 point for these, 2 points for this one, 1 for getting the answer, and another for graphing it. So let me pause the video and show score evaluations. Okay, let's go ahead and see our evaluation. So if you got 5 out of 5 on that check-in, congrats, you're a rock star. 4 out of 5, excellent, pretty good. You're excellent. Even if you got that graphing problem wrong, hey, that graphing one I just threw right at you. But hey, if you didn't get it, no worries, because that one was kind of tough, especially with the fractions. But don't worry, graphing will definitely appear on Algebra 1. Okay, good job. 3 out of 5. If you got 3 out of 5, good job. Just make sure to keep working on the harder skills. 2 out of 5, you're doing all right. Don't worry. You can go back to the video at any time and you can review the skills. And 1 over 5 and 0 over 5, please, I really encourage you to go back and check the lesson again. And if you need reference from my previous episodes, I will gladly have them on my channel. Okay, so let's go ahead and move on to some more. Now we're going to throw in some geometry and we're going to put in some actual formulas, which means I may or may not be spoiling a couple. Hint, hint, wink, wink. So I'm going to go ahead and put the formulas up right now and we're going to solve some. So let's go. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and keep going. So now this right here is the formula of a circumference of a circle. So we're talking a circle, which is basically just a round object. I hope that was good enough. And let's also put in the value of pi, which we'll just evaluate as 3.14, as that's pretty standard for math. That's really all you need to memorize. It's just 3.14. So now, if we were to find the value of r and we have the circumference, if we're given that we have the circumference, we need to find the value of r. So let's do find r literally, and then find r given that c is approximately 30. And the reason why I put approximately is because pi is infinite amount of digits, so we're just gonna round that. So first things first, we want to find r. So what we do is, since we have 2 pi r, that means it's 2 times pi times r. So we use division, just like we did last time. So we're going to divide 2. And since pi is also technically a number right here, let's just pretend that pi can also be divided. So let's take c divided by 2 pi, because we have 2 in pi. So those, and we're going to equal them to r. So there's our answer. We just divide 2 pi right there, and then there's our answer. Now, so that's A. A's done. And we can plug that in, so we'll have c over 2 pi. 2 pi's cancel out, and then we're left with c is equal to c. Okay, so now, okay, so c is approximately 30, so let's do 30 over 2 pi is equal to r. Now, first things first, in multiplication, we can cancel out separate numbers if we can. So 32 times pi can also be written as 30 divided by 2 times 1 over pi. So we have 30 divided by 2. It's going to be 15 over pi. And then pi is 3.14, which means that's going to be approximately about 5. What do you say? Because if we round it to one significant figure, 3, if we round it down, it'll be 5. So that means that the r, or the radius, is 5. So there we go. That's that completed. So there you go. You literally just did geometry using Algebra 1. Seriously, great job. I mean that. Go ahead and erase all this real quick. And then I'll get you guys with another problem. Now, how about we get into a little bit of a later science class? Now, this isn't a graduation requirement, but I still want you guys to kind of know, well, actually kind of depends, but like, to me, this isn't a graduation requirement, but we're going to take Algebra 1 and we're going to combine it with, give me a drum roll behind the screen, physics. Are you ready? Well, I'm going to cut the video, and then I'm going to put a problem on the screen. Okay, so right here we have the formula for kinetic energy. So that's going to be equal to 1/2 times mass times velocity. No, I lied. Speed squared. That's my fault. But we're going to solve for 2 variables this time. That's going to be m, which is the mass, and then v, the speed. So what we're going to do first is we're going to go ahead and shoot, maybe I should have, no, this is fine. Okay, so we're going to solve for m first. So how do we do this? Well, we have 1/2, and we know from earlier that if we have 1/2 in a literal equation, we want to use multiplication. So we're going to multiply this by 2. So that means that 2 times kinetic energy is equal to mass times speed squared. So there's that. Now all we have to do is we have to divide this by v squared. So that means that 2 kinetic energy divided by v squared is equal to m. So there you go. It's 2 times kinetic energy over v squared. That's m. Now, to calculate v squared, it's a little bit more complicated because now we're dealing with a square, and we want just v. Now, to get rid of a square, so let's just say we have 2 squared. That's equal to 4. We know that, right? Now, what's the opposite of a squared? Go ahead and think about it for a moment. A square root. Because you want to know something about a square root? It literally means 2 to the power of 1/2. Because you take, what's it called? 2 to the power of 1, and then you just cut it in half, but like, in terms of like, how do I explain? So you know how like this exponentation is repeated multiplication, so it would be 2 times 2 is equal to 4, and then 2, 3 is equal to 2 times 2 times 2, and vice versa. Well, this is essentially the exact opposite. So instead of multiplying by 3, we have to like actually cut it by 2 in a way. So that's where the square root comes in. Now, the square root of 2, it's 1.41. But don't worry, we don't have to actually calculate any square roots here, so don't worry about that. But there will be square root calculations in Algebra 1. So again, don't let that fool you. Okay, so let's go back to the problem. So again, we want to get rid of 1/2, so we'll once again have 2ke is equal to mv squared. And this time we're divided by m, so that means that 2ke is going to be over m, which will be equal to v squared. Now I want to square root. So we're going to square root this entire thing. 2ke over m is equal to v. Are we done? If you said yes, congratulations! You're wrong. But don't worry, because many people get this wrong. Don't worry, it's fine. We'll go ahead and knock it out of the park. Like it never even happened. So, when we have a square root of a fraction, we take the square root of both of those, and then we cannot have radicals in denominators. That's a no-no. So what we have to do, all we have to do is multiply this by itself. Because if we take that and that, like, let's just say we have m times m. Now, if that's multiplying itself by 2 times, wouldn't that just mean that it's square root of m to the second power? And this also means that it's 1m to the 1/2 times 2. Because then 1 times 2 is 2 over 2, which is just 1. Which means we'll literally be left with m. Now that's on the bottom though. Remember, whenever we're multiplying, we have to do it on both sides, or else it's wrong. So we have to do the square root of m on that side, and the square root of the m on the other side. Which means that the square root of 2ke times the square root of m is equal to, divided by m, equals v. So that's that. That's our answer for that one. So, altogether, we have 2ke and root m over m. So there's that. We just literally solved m and v for kinetic energy in physics. So, let's go ahead and do one more, and then we'll do some real world problems. We'll go ahead and I'll cut the video to erase it. No worries. Alright guys, here's your new problem. This is going to be the Pythagorean theorem from trigonometry. So, let's go ahead and, oh wait, no, actually, I lied. This one, it's going to be your turn now. So, go ahead and solve for each one. Remember about the, what's it called? The square root tactic. So, we want to literally find the value of the, number, shoot, hold up. No, it's fine. Okay, so let's go ahead and try it. And you may be shocked to see the answer. Alright, never gave you a warning, but I have the answer. 3, 2, 1, and if you take a quick look at it, it's actually no solution. Because we have a negative inside, and we cannot do that even if we try. It's just not possible because we can't have a negative inside because that can be any value. So this is no solution for this one. There are no literal values for the regular a's, only the square root of a's. So the square root of a, that does equal negative b plus 2c, but not for regular a's. So that's impossible. It's fine. We'll go ahead and move on to another one. I just kind of wanted to see if you guys would catch that because, yes, math does play tricks on you. It's very important to catch those. I'll give you a real problem now. Let's do this. All right, try this problem. This is Einstein's famous E equals mc squared equation. And this is also from physics. So, don't worry, you don't need to know what E equals mc squared means. But it is in physics, and you can search it up if you'd like. But let's go ahead and solve literal equations. So, try this one, go ahead, and then I'll show the solutions once you're done. Good luck. Okay, fam squad, are you ready? I'll reveal the answers in 3, 2, 1. Check them and see how you did. This one was kind of easy. E was already given. I don't even why I put that, but I just want to see if you guys would catch that. M is equal to E over C squared. Simple enough. Just divide that by this. And then C is a little more complicated, but that's okay. It's just E over M equals C squared, square root, and you have square root E over square root M, but that's not possible. So then you multiply by square root M on both sides, so you get this. Alright, perfect. Now let's do some real world scenarios, and then we'll wrap up this lesson. Let me go ahead and put a real scenario. Alright, I have the problem right here. It's kind of long, so I'll go ahead and read it out. The equation above shows a bill for C is equal to B plus PN. The total cost of the bill C is $85. The bill B is $60. Every day you wait to pay costs $5. Solve for n in literal equations. B, solve for n based on the problem above. So what this is basically trying to ask you, it's basically saying that you have to solve for n in literal and actual terms. So first things first is we have to understand the penalty. If we calculate n wrong, then we would be inaccurately saying our bill, so it'll either be higher or lower, which is, first of all, it would either be illegal or it would be, it would either be illegal or it would be too much money. So we want to make sure we're having the right amount of money, and we make sure we calculate the right amount of time. And if we go too high and too low, that could be a problem. So let's go ahead and get started. So first, let's solve for n in literal equations. So we're gonna be finding the value of n. That's what this means. And then we want to find n by itself. So first things first is we're going to get this b to the other side immediately. So c minus b equals pn. And then all we have to do, p and n together, that's just p times n. So we're going to divide by p on both sides. And we'll be left with c minus b equal over p. Now we solve for n based on the problem above, and normally we would have to do some algebra, but since we have it right here, we're trying to find for n. And now we just have to plug in the values based on this. Total cost of the bill C is $85, so we put 85 right here, plug it in for C. B says 60, so we put 60 up here. And P, every day you wait to pay, costs $5. So we do our math. Let's see here. 85 minus 60 is equal to 25. Over 5 is 5. So that means that n is equal to 5. So that means that n is equal to 5 right here. And it's equal to this literal equation right here. So, there we go. That's our scenario. Okay, we're going to be doing one more scenario, and then we're going to wrap up this lesson. So I'm going to put one more. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and move on to our next problem. So, your late for work and the equation show the loss. Well, wait, hang on, I should probably put the equation shows the loss of pay for every hour, where your paycheck is equal to $700. P, your hourly wage, R, is $20. Your weekly hours, H, is 40, and your time missed is M, which is unknown. First things first, we need to solve for M, literally. Now, here's the tricky part of this one. We have parentheses this time. So parentheses, when we have R, H minus M, this is another way of saying RH minus RM. Let me prove this is true. Let's just say R is 1, H is 7, and M is 5. So, if we did this like as if we had all the equations, 1 is equal to 7 minus 5, we would get 5. Actually, let me do a better one for number for this one so I can show it better. Let's do 3 for this one. So, we have 3, 5 minus, no, I lied, shoot. 7 minus 5, and that's going to be equal to 6. Because 7 minus 5 is 2, 2 times 3 is 6. Now RH minus RM, that's going to be 3 times 7 minus 3 times 5, 21 minus 15, so you go to 6. Would you look at that? It's a match, and you can try with any number, it will work. So, that's it. That's all we need. So, let's do that so that way we can make our problem a little easier. So, we have P RH minus, wait, actually, matter of fact, I just taught you something new, but you don't even have to use it in this problem. But, no for the next one, because I actually just realized that you can literally just divide by R. If you caught that before I did, great job. It already shows you're improving. So now we have parentheses H minus M, but let's be honest. There's nothing that's before or after the parentheses anymore, so it's just going to be left like that. Now all we have to do is to solve for M, we have to subtract H on this side, so we have negative H. P over R minus H is equal to M. No, I lied. Negative M. M is equal to negative P over R plus H. We can go ahead and check our work because, you know, why not? It's just something that it's just so important to do. You know what I'm saying? So, P over R is equal to H minus negative P over R plus H. So we're going to add P over R. So we'll have H minus H, which will cancel. And then P over R equals P over R. So it's a match. It works. Now, plug in the values. So here's our equation. Black marker squaring out ink. Don't worry, I have an extra one right here, my blue marker. I'll probably use it in the next episode. And then, let's see here. Our paycheck $700 P, so that means we have M is equal to negative 700 since we have a negative on the front. Let's see here. R is 20, so that's going to go right here. Plus H is 40. So this is our equation. So you can go ahead and solve that. put it in a calculator, do it in your head, whatever you may want to do. So go ahead, take your time. Okay, let's see here. So let's see, 700 divided by 20, it's gonna be negative 35, I believe, plus 40, because you have negative 700 divided by 10 is negative 70 divided by 2 is negative 35. That's just my way. Distributive property, been my favorite way since middle school. Heart. And then negative 35 plus 40 is m is equal to 5. So there we go. So that means that your time you missed 5 hours of time. If you were a little over, that would have been bad. You would have been having a lower paycheck, which would be good. And if you had less, it means you would have had a higher paycheck, which wouldn't be accurate. So there's that. M is equal to 5. Okay, so there you are. Okay, that's going to conclude this episode of FEM. So, here's what we did today. We did real world scenarios, where we had, we learned real world scenarios. We utilized geometry and physics, actually, so we actually did more than what we actually had to. And this episode was a lot shorter than the last one. I think this one was about 30 to 40 minutes. If I'm a little over, it's fine. I just know it's definitely not an hour, but it's okay. We did it. Great job, FEM Squad. I'll see you tomorrow. Tomorrow we'll be working on word problems, so be prepared for that. And until next time, I'll see you all around. And always remember, FEMCore.